College football is a passionate sport, subsequently bringing out a lot of heated opinions, and Sporting News isn't going to shy away from throwing their 2 cents in on some hot topics regarding the 2018 college football season. We don't care if some of those opinions are unpopular either. More 2018 college football look ahead. Alabama is the defending national champion, but its biggest off-season story involves its quarterback battle, rather than Nick Saban's bid for a 6th national title in Tuscaloosa. And is really a make-or-break season for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan? We'll touch on those topics and more, including some players, coaches, conferences, and that evergreen college football playoff debate. Here are 5 unpopular opinions heading into 2018. Jim Harbaugh's seat isn't hot at Michigan. When we say Jim Harbaugh, Twitter says, he hasn't finished better than 3rd in the Big Ten East, and has to win now to get off the hot seat, and might be looking at the NFL. Only one of those things is true. Harbaugh hasn't finished better than 3rd in the Big Ten East heading into his 4th year, but nobody in Ann Arbor is going to care if they finish 2nd as long as Ohio State is still in 1st place. You can throw any other stat around Harbaugh, his record against top 10 opponents, against rivals Michigan State and Ohio State, whatever you want. None of those criticisms matters at all. Michigan is a Ricky Bobby program. That is, if you ain't first, you're last, and the Wolverines haven't been first since 2004. Here's what we know: Harbaugh isn't looking at the NFL. The Bears and Colts, the 2 pro teams Twitter loves linking Harbaugh to, just hired Matt Nagy and Frank Reich, respectively. Harbaugh isn't on the hot seat either. Seriously, name one legit coaching candidate for Michigan who would replace Harbaugh after 2018. Anybody? Seriously, name anybody. Michigan brings back a loaded defense in transfer quarterback Shea Patterson, and the hype will return in retweets if the Wolverines win that opener at Notre Dame. Same if they get through Wisconsin, Penn State and Michigan State, teams Harbaugh has a 4-4 record against. It still all comes down to Ohio State. If Harbaugh doesn't beat the Buckeyes in the next year or 2, then all those other criticisms come back. That's the one that matters. Lloyd Carr lost 4 in a row to Ohio State from 2004 to 2007, and that led to a 7-year hiatus from the national stage. The game trumps everything else, and Michigan hasn't won in Columbus since 2000. If Harbaugh wins that one, chances are Michigan will finish better than 3rd place. Tweet that anytime you want. It won't age at all. SN Top 25 QBs, RBs, defensive players. Jalen Hurts won't transfer from Alabama. The quarterback battle between Tua Tagovailoa and Hurts didn't really heat up in the spring because Tagovailoa was dealing with injuries, and Saban predictably didn't offer much to the debate in any of his news conferences. Expect that to continue at SEC Media Days, which will be here sooner than you think. Varian Hurts, Jalen's father, made waves in the spring when he said his son would be the biggest free agent in college football history. That might be the case if Jalen Hurts loses the starting job to Tagovailoa and opts to transfer. At this point, however, it's best to wait a year. Both quarterbacks will play during the season, and Hurts can gain experience in a championship program, regardless of role. Then he could opt to graduate transfer after the 2018 season, sparking that free agency battle. Washington must beat Auburn, for Pac-12's sake. The Pac-12, which finished 1-8 in the 2017-18 bowl season, must deal with East Coast bias, it's real, and face the risk of missing the playoff for the 3rd time in 5 years. The conference has alternated spots with the Big 12 the last 4 years, and the prevailing thought is the Pac-12 is weak. Washington can change that in a matter of hours against Auburn in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game at the Georgia Dome. The Huskies would have a better chance of making the playoff by beating Auburn and losing a Pac-12 game than losing to Auburn and finishing undefeated in the Pac-12. That's the perception turned reality that the entire conference faces now. USC and Stanford have better non-conference schedules, so they don't need that marquee non-conference win as much. The Huskies have an experienced team that broke through to the playoff 2 years ago, and they're back on a similar stage in Atlanta. It's the biggest Week 1 game as far as the college football playoff race is concerned. More 2018 Bowl playoff projections. 2 Big Ten East teams could make playoff. We had an all-SEC championship game in the playoff last season. Here's the bad news for fans who didn't like it. We have 2 conferences that could pull that off in 2018. Alabama, Georgia could totally happen again. Both teams are prohibitive favorites in their respective divisions, and there's a better than good chance they'll see each other in Atlanta for the SEC championship game with some combination of 11-1 or 12-0 records. That possibility isn't limited to the SEC in 2018, either. We could see 2 teams from the Big Ten East reach the playoff, and it would be hard to argue against it given how tough that division is. Don't think it can happen? 3 Big Ten East teams finished in the top 6 in 2016. Ohio State and Penn State finished in the top 10 last year, and both won their New Year's Day 6 bid. It depends on how the round robin shakes out among the top 4 teams in the East, but if any 2 teams out of Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State or Michigan State finishes undefeated or with 1 loss, it could happen. That's especially true if Wisconsin finishes with 2 losses in the West. 4 playoff teams still better than 8. The 4-team playoff format is still better than one that features 8 teams. We know at least one Power 5 conference will disagree with that assessment. So will UCF and the rest of the group of 5, which are essentially barred from that race unless they go undefeated in consecutive seasons. So will all the fans who are subjugated to Alabama, Clemson, IV in January. We get that, but every year, like clockwork, college football playoff executive director Bill Hancock doesn't flinch when stumping for the playoff's current 4-team format. The mission still is to protect the regular season and put the 4 best teams in. The first part is always subject to debate, but the best 4 teams were in the playoff each of the last 4 seasons. We argued about Alabama and Ohio State last year, and Ohio State and Penn State the year before. The committee got it right both times. If this were an 8-team format, we would have argued Wisconsin and USC in 2016 and USC and Penn State last year. Were those really playoff caliber teams? UCF, by the way, finished no. 12 and 8-team format would require automatic bids for a group of 5 team to make it, and those aren't perfect either. Stick with the 4-team format a little longer. We're not saying the 8-team format won't happen down the line. It probably will. We just like the 4-team playoff where it's at.